opening sequence in The Iron Giant concerns a ship on the sea and the first appearance of this ridiculous creature. It's very scary, and it certainly scares the daylights out of the captain of the ship, which winds up bumping into this creature as it stands up 100 feet above the water. The terrifying reality of it was partially what I was trying to do. A storm at sea is an archetypal kind of scene. And the feeling that Brad Bird had worked into the temp score with Bernard Herrmann's music was this epical, very dark, very brown sounding music that was recorded in the 50s and 60s. And I knew in my heart that there were still places in the world where you could make music that sounded like that. I hired the Czech Philharmonic, which is not a common thing to do. They gave me not just the Czech Philharmonic, but their concert hall, which is one of the greatest concert halls in the world. It is a great treat to work with a great orchestra, and the Czech Philharmonic is as good an orchestra as exists on the planet. When you're looking at a scene in a film, sometimes, very often, and if you're lucky, all the time, the music comes into your head in one fell swoop, and you're hearing an entire piece of music, and then you just have to figure out what it is you're hearing and write it down. The Iron Giant had very many opportunities like that. The scene with the deer in the forest was heartbreaking. Bambi-esque, but I think outdid Bambi. And there were real private moments for the deer, real private moments for the giant, and for Hogarth, too. I took all of that very personally. A deer in the forest is a very noble sound, so a French horn made sense. A melody for the forest and a melody for the forest as a character was certainly making sense. The fact that that's the first time that the thought occurs that, oh no, he's a weapon, he's a gun. That's the first time you get a feeling of that. In The Iron Giant, I didn't have a character assigned to each instrument. I didn't decide that Kent Manley will be a bassoon, but he did wind up being a bassoon because he was stupid. He was a silly character, and so the bassoon wound up being able to articulate that absurdity.
Kent Manley, United States government.
The themes for Hogarth were more like Peter and the Wolf, were quite deliberate. When that first scene happens and you see Hogarth coming over the hill on his bicycle. I was a Hogarth at that time. And all of the stuff that made sense to Hogarth made complete sense to me. Feeding Kent Manley X-Lax, something I probably would have done. You know, I didn't have any regard for that kind of right-wing fanaticism. And I didn't like that paranoia, and I recognized it as having a harmful effect on my parents and their friends. And it wasn't going to get me.